Hey everyone, today I want to share the key ideas from a book that, and I'm not exaggerating, genuinely changed how I look at challenges, learning, and success. It's called Mindset by Carol S. Dweck. And what's amazing is that it all boils down to one core idea, but an idea so powerful it can literally reshape your entire life. So let's dive right in.
Right at the heart of the book is this quote. In one world, the world of fixed traits, success is about proving you're smart or talented. In the other, the world of changing qualities, it's about stretching yourself to learn something new. What Dweck is saying here is that we can essentially live in two completely different worlds, and the world we choose to live in is built on a single belief we hold about ourselves. This one choice, well, it determines almost everything.
So, to really get a handle on this, here's our game plan. We're going to start by exploring those two worlds Dweck talks about. Then, we'll look at how your mindset completely redefines things like failure and even praise. We'll see how it plays out in our careers and relationships, and we'll finish up with a practical guide on how you can actually start making the shift for yourself.
Okay, so what are these two worlds? Well, they're built on two fundamentally different beliefs about where our abilities come from. It seems like a simple little distinction, but trust me, the consequences for how you live your life are just massive.
All right, on one side we have what's called the fixed mindset. This is the belief that your qualities, your intelligence, your artistic talent, whatever, are basically carved in stone. You've got a certain amount, and that's it. So your main goal in life becomes proving you've got enough, right? And this leads to some really specific behaviors. You start avoiding challenges because what if you fail and look dumb? You give up more easily when things get tough, and you actually feel threatened by other people's success. It almost becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of limitation. But then, on the other side, you've got the growth mindset. This is the belief that your basic qualities are things you can cultivate through your own efforts. The goal isn't to prove you're smart, it's to get smarter, to learn. And this just fosters a completely different way of living. You start to embrace challenges, you persist through setbacks because you see them as part of the process, and you find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. This mindset, well, it opens the door to potential you probably never even knew you had.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The mindset you choose completely changes your relationship with one of the most powerful human experiences we all have. Failure. It stops being just some negative outcome and becomes a matter of perspective.
So just take a second and think about this for yourself. What does failure actually mean to you? When you try something and it doesn't work out, is that a final verdict on who you are? A big red stamp that says you don't have what it takes? Or is it just a lesson, a piece of feedback to help you figure out what to do next?
Dweck puts it perfectly. She writes, in the growth mindset, failure can be a painful experience, but it doesn't define you. It's a problem to be faced, dealt with, and learned from. And that's the absolute crucial difference. Someone with a fixed mindset sees failure and thinks, I am a failure. It becomes a permanent label, part of their identity. But for someone with a growth mindset, failure is an event. It's just a data point that says, okay, that approach didn't work. Let's try something else. It's a problem to be solved, not a verdict to be accepted.
And this isn't just some nice theory, you know? You see this pattern everywhere when you look at high achievers. Thomas Edison didn't see his 10,000 attempts at a light bulb as failures. He saw them as 10,000 steps that successfully taught him what not to do. When Michael Jordan was famously cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't just conclude he wasn't talented enough. No, he concluded he needed to work harder, and he used that rejection to fuel thousands of hours of practice. For people like them, or J.K. Rowling getting rejected over and over, or Steve Jobs getting fired from his own company, failure wasn't a stop sign. It was a stepping stone.
Okay, this next idea, this was a huge eye-opener for me, especially when you think about how we talk to our kids or students or even our teammates at work. It's all about the surprising danger of praise and how some of our best intentions can actually completely backfire.
According to Dweck's research, and get ready for this, praising children's intelligence harms their motivation and it harms their performance. I know, right? That sounds totally backward. Telling a kid, you're so smart, feels like the most positive, encouraging thing you can say. But Dweck's studies show, pretty convincingly, that this specific type of praise actually pushes them into a fixed mindset, and the consequences can be pretty damaging. So let's break this down. The praise we need to avoid is any praise that labels innate talent. When you say, you're so smart, or wow, you're a natural at this, you're tying their identity to that fixed trait. And the really scary part, they then become terrified of any challenge that might disprove that label. If they struggle with something, their internal monologue becomes, uh-oh, maybe I'm not so smart after all.
The praise to encourage, on the other hand, is all about the process. Things like, "I love how hard you worked on that," or "That was a really clever strategy you used." This reinforces the idea that success comes from effort, from strategy, from the choices they make. It teaches them that ability isn't something you just have, it's something you build.
And of course, this whole mindset idea doesn't just apply to learning a new skill or doing well in school. It profoundly shapes our professional lives and even the way we connect with our colleagues, our partners, and our friends.
In the workplace, Dweck says, managers with a growth mindset think it's nice to have talent, but that's just the starting point. These managers are more committed to their employees' development and to their own. Think about that. A manager with a fixed mindset thinks their job is just to identify the existing stars and put them in the right roles. But a growth mindset leader? They see their job as actively growing and developing everyone on their team. For them, talent isn't a fixed thing to be managed, it's a potential to be cultivated.
So what does this kind of leader actually look like in practice? Well, they're constantly focused on developing their team, not just evaluating them. They see big, scary challenges as amazing opportunities for everyone to stretch and grow together. They build a culture where learning and smart risk-taking are actually celebrated. And, this is so important, they actively seek out feedback for their own improvement, showing everyone that it's safe to learn. This is the difference between a culture of know-it-alls and a culture of learn-it-alls, a shift that Satya Nadella famously used to reignite innovation at Microsoft.
So, this is the really hopeful part. Your mindset isn't some fixed personality trait you're just born with. You're not stuck. Dweck's research is crystal clear on this. Your mindset can be changed. Because it's not something you have, it's something you do. So, let's talk about the how. This short little quote from the book just captures the whole idea so perfectly. Becoming is better than being. See, the fixed mindset is completely obsessed with being smart, being talented, being seen as a success. The growth mindset, though, finds all its purpose and joy in becoming. The journey of growth itself is the real reward. Okay, so here's the practical toolkit for making that shift. Step 1. Embrace challenges. Instead of running from what's hard, you actively start seeking it out, knowing it's your best opportunity to grow. Step 2. Persist in the face of setbacks. You have to reframe that struggle. It's not a verdict, it's a lesson. Step 3. See effort as the path to mastery. Hard work isn't a sign that you're not good enough. It's the engine that actually builds your skill. Step 4. Learn from criticism. Start actively seeking out constructive feedback and actually use it to get better. And finally, Step 5. Find inspiration in the success of others. When you see someone do something amazing, don't see it as a threat. See it as a roadmap, proof of what's possible, and a source of strategies for your own journey.
So, we've walked through the two mindsets. We've seen how they completely redefine failure and praise, and we've even looked at the practical steps you can take to cultivate growth. The big question is, where do we go from here?
If you take only one thing away from this, let it be this. The very first step is simply recognizing that you have a choice. Right now, and in every single moment of challenge you face from now on, you get to choose which world you want to live in. You can choose to see your abilities as fixed and finite, or you can choose to see them as the starting point for a whole lifetime of learning, effort, and growth.
Everything we've talked about today comes from Carol Dweck's incredible work. If any of this resonated with you and you want to go deeper, I highly recommend reading the full book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. We've put a link for it down in the description. And if you want a quicker overview, we've also included a link to a great chapter-by-chapter summary you can check out. And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all, the one that a growth mindset asks every single day. What will you choose to learn next?